Well, it looks like I'm back with another story from the Super Touring era. Next up is the quirky box that we all know and love, the Volvo 850. Volvo's first foray into touring cars as a works team had been with the mighty 240 Turbo in 1985 and 86. The 240 was the first to be coined the Flying Brick, a nickname now synonymous with the big boxy boys Volvo produced through the 1980s and 1990s. 1985 saw Volvo pit main rival TWR to the post by securing the European Touring Car Drivers' Championship at the penultimate round, with Thomas Lindstrom and Gianfranco Brancatelli driving for the Eggenberger Motorsport outfit, competing as the Volvo dealer team. 1985 was a great year for the Swedish marque, as Per Strausen claimed the Deutsche Produktionswagen Meisterkraft title with IPS Motorsport, the pre-runner to DTM. That's much easier to say. 1986, however, saw the Volvo-backed RAS Sport team disqualified from one of the races due to an illegal fuel tank and dashboard. Volvo subsequently pulled the plug at the end of the 86 season, and a works touring car team wouldn't see the light of day until the allure of the super touring age rolled around. Launched in 1991 with in-house styling by Jan Wilsgaard, the Volvo 850 marked a clear departure from previous models. The 240's rear-wheel drive layout was ditched in favour of a transverse inline 5-cylinder powering the front wheels, although an all-wheel drive variant would later be made available. Originally, the 850 was only available as a saloon, powered by either a 2-litre or 2.5-litre variant of the 20-valve 5-cylinder engine. The Estate was introduced in February of 1993, followed by a facelift for 94. This same year, the 850 Estate was awarded the Japanese Good Design Grand Prize Award from the Ministry of International Trade and Industry, and 94 is where our story really begins. In late 1993, Volvo approached Swedish engineering firm Stephenson Automotive to design a race car to compete in the 1994 BTCC season. The 850 Saloon was selected, and SAM accepted the offer. Volvo intended to assist with technical information and promised to supply a body shell for SAM to use. However, the story goes that when they took a trip to Volvo to collect the Saloon, only Estate body shells were available, and due to the short time frame, in order to have the car ready in time for the 94 season, SAM had to use the 850 Estate shell. When Volvo's senior VP at the time, Martin Rybeck, heard about the shell fiasco, he sensed a huge marketing opportunity if the big Estate was competitive. But if things didn't go to plan, it would be a PR nightmare. Both the Saloon and Estate variants were sent to the wind tunnel, and the case for the racing Longboy was solidified when the results showed that the Estate actually created higher downforce levels due to the surface area of the roof and the sharp drop-off to the tailgate. Rumours before pre-season testing were rife, as earlier in the year Volvo had released concept art of both variants in race trim. This, however, did not stop the slew of raised eyebrows and snarky comments when the Swedes showed up at pre-season testing with the Estate, with TWR running the programme. Yes, the same arch-rival TWR from the start of the video. Drivers were home hero Rickard Riedel and Dutch ex-Formula 1 driver and Le Mans winner Jan Lammers. TWR's expert technicians were convinced that not only could the Estate car be taken to the minimum required weight, but it would handle roughly the same as the saloon car around the track. The car would be equipped with the 2-litre variant of the inline 5-cylinder, mated with an X-Track 6-speed sequential gearbox. This power unit, with its distinctive mini V10 howl, would send almost 300 horsepower to the front wheels. I'll link that video in the description if you want 11 minutes of eargasms. The 850 Estate got off to a rocky start, with Riedel finishing 15th and Lammers retiring from the first round of the season at Thruxton. In fact, things looked pretty grim until race 7 at Alton Park, where Rydell finished 5th. Prior to this, neither car had finished higher than 11th, with 3 retirements. The second half of the season was slightly better, with Rydell scoring semi-regular points and finishing the season with a total of 27. Lammers only had 4 points finishes all season, with the best result of 5th at race 17 at Brands Hatch, and ended the season with 18 points. A massive 280 points behind eventual drivers' champion Gabriele Tarquini. Jan Lammers did have his share of bad luck though. During race 11 at Brands Hatch, he and the big Volvo were running in a strong second place after the Dutchman had pulled off some epic overtakes, akin to squeezing the QE2 down the River Thames. His luck, however, would run out only a couple laps later after being tagged from behind by Steve Soper's E36, who in turn had been punted by John Clennan's Cavalier. Oh, what might have been. TWR struggled with the car setup due to the unusual rearward weight distribution that they just couldn't quite fix. The car was great in the high-speed corners, but really struggled in the low-speed twisties. The highlight of the season was Rydell putting the 850 third on the grid for Snetterton. However, he didn't start the race due to technical issues, and that about sums up how well 1994 went for Volvo. Several drivers also complained about visibility behind the big box that was the 850 estate, and how large the car was when trying to overtake it, leading to the rear of the Volvo being hit several times over the course of the season. It was a common sight for the 850 to be dragging its rear bumper around the track. Sadly, the estate and Volvo finished 8th in the manufacturer standings, but it didn't matter because if you made it this far into the video, you love BTCC's box just as much as I do. Due to the rule change for 1995, sparked by the Alfa Romeo's questionable rear wing, Volvo switched to the saloon variant as TWR would not be able to add the now legal rear wing, as said wing could not extend higher than the roofline or beyond the rear bumper. The estate, of course, having no suitable place for this, would be at a huge disadvantage. Tim Harvey took over from Jan Lammers for 95, as the Dutchman didn't enjoy the brutish nature of touring car racing. 95 was an instant success for the 850 saloon, with Rydell putting the new car on pole for round 1 at Donington Park. After a slow start, he eventually finished 4th and Harvey 8th. For round 2 at Donington, Rydell managed to hold on to his pole position and win the race, with Harvey coming home in 3rd. Not a bad start for the saloon. Round 2 at Brands Hatch was not as successful for Rydell, as he finished way down in 13th for race 1, but managed to secure 3rd place in race 2. On paper that doesn't look too bad, but he started on pole. Almost as bad as Leclerc at Austin this year. Silverware was still on the cards for the Flying Brick, however, with Tim Harvey securing 1st place in both races. Round 3 at Thruxton saw the first time neither Harvey or Rydell stood on the podium, or secured pole position, with a 15th and 7th, and a 9th and 4th, respectively. Silverstone was a return to form for Rydell, securing pole and winning race 1, with Harvey down in 7th. Race 2 saw Rydell on the 2nd spot of the podium, with Harvey following home in 3rd. Alton Park saw yet another win for Rydell in race 1, and runner-up for race 2. At this point, Harvey had started to drop out of the title fight, only finishing 8th and 15th. The next round at Brands Hatch saw Rydell's side of the garage have a poor showing this time, with a 7th place finish for race 1, and not even starting the second race. Harvey, however, secured the final spot on the rostrum and a 5th in race 2. Second time out at Donington saw Rydell finishing 2nd and 6th, with Harvey falling behind, securing a single point over both races. The next round at Knockhill saw Rydell back on pole and winning race 1. He came home in the runner-up spot for race 2. Harvey saw a brief return to form, following his teammate home in both races. Round 10 at Brands Hatch was 3rd time lucky for Rydell, with podium places in both races, a 2nd and 3rd, with Harvey securing 7th in both races. Snetterton saw Rydell's worst weekend of the season, finishing 14th in race 1 and retiring from race 2. This was a shame as Rickard had secured his 13th pole of the season. For Harvey, however, it was a weekend of mixed fortunes, retiring from race 1 but securing second best in race 2. Alton Park saw neither Volvo driver finishing higher than 5th position, with Harvey retiring from race 1. The final round at Silverstone saw Rydell finish 5th in race 1 and retiring from race 2. He, however, had done enough to secure 3rd place in the standings with 4 wins and 13 poles from 24 races. Harvey came home in 10th and 7th, securing 5th in the standings with 2 wins. TWR has stepped up their game for 95, jumping up to 3rd in the Constructors. For the following 1996 season, Tim Harvey moved to Peugeot, with Kelvin Burt from Ford replacing him. The season started on the right foot with Rydell locking in pole position for the opening race at Donington Park. He, however, could not convert this into decent points and retired from the race. Kelvin secured 4th place during his first race for the Anglo-Swedish outfit. Race 2 saw Rydell reach the podium in 3rd, with Burt finishing a couple places behind in 5th. Kelvin retired from the next 2 races at Brands Hatch, whilst Rickard Rydell scored good points with a 4th and a 3rd. Burt was then disqualified from the following race at Thruxton, but finished race 2 in 13th out of the points. Rickard, however, scored another 3rd and an 8th place. Silverstone saw Burt take his first and only win at TWR Volvo in race 1 and retired from race 2, perfectly balanced as all things should be. Rydell was off the podium in 4th and 5th. Race 1 at Alton Park saw Rydell finishing 4th after Burt heavily crashed his Volvo. Kelvin was knocked unconscious and had to be cut from the heavily damaged 850. He was taken to hospital, suffering from a severe concussion. Rydell then won race 2, with Burt not taking part for obvious reasons. Round 6 at Snetterton saw just one Volvo 850 competing. Then F3 driver Jamie Davis was set to fill in for Kelvin Burt. However, Davis also crashed heavily in testing, completely destroying the car and also sustaining a concussion. Strange coincidence? As a result of this, Volvo decided to just run Rydell's car for the 2 races at Snetterton. Rydell retired from race 1 and finished 5th in race 2. The next round at Brands Hatch saw the return of Burt and Rydell's worst weekend of the season, with a 3rd place in race 1, and in race 2 he only managed 12th. The only time all season that he finished the race out of the points. Burt's return yielded an 8th and a 6th place finish. Silverstone brought yet more silverware for Rydell with a 2nd and a 4th place. Kelvin managed a 7th and an 8th. The following round at Knock Hill saw the 850 back on the front row of the grid, with Rydell on pole. Burt retired from the race, and Rydell had one of his famous slow starts, finishing the race in 4th place. For race 2, however, he redeemed himself, holding on to 1st place at the checkered flag. Kelvin took the final points position in 10th. Back to Alton Park now, and Burt managed to keep it at the wall, with the 8th place finish in both races. Rydell finished 5th in race 1 and retired from race 2. Thruxton saw Rydell stand on the bottom and top step of the podium, with Kelvin retiring from race 1 and finishing a lowly 17th in race 2, Volvo's worst finish since the penultimate race of 1994. Donington Park saw Rydell's 4th and last win of the season in race 1 and a retirement from race 2. That poor car gave everything it had in that first race. Burt trailed home in 9th and 12th. The final round of the season culminated in a 5th place and a retirement for Rydell, which saw him drop behind Alain Menu by 3 points and finish 3rd in the championship once again. Burt finished his first season with the TWR outfit with a pair of 7th places. Rydell powered his 850 to 5 pole positions and 4 wins in a season dominated by Frank Bieler and his Audi A4 Quattro, with Burt's single win bringing Volvo's total to 5 wins and dropping down to 4th for the 1996 season. In the hands of Jan Flash Nilsson, the 850 Saloon also won 6 of 9 races in the Swedish Touring Car Championship in 1996 and 8 of 12 races in the 1997 championship to win the title both years. Matthias Eriksson won the remaining 4 races to finish second in the championship, creating a 100% win record for the Volvo that season. The 850 had shown it had the pace to win races and possibly championships, but the reliability just wasn't there for them, and ultimately the 850 was nearing the end of its run. For the 1997 BTCC season, the trusty old 850 was replaced by the S40, and a year later, Rydell, who had been with Volvo since the start of their campaign, had finally won the title. The bones of the 850 were carried over to the S40, so I count this as a spiritual win for the old flying brick.